Welcome to the Big Play Cleveland Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz alongside Chris McNeil and Nick Padone. Happy St. Patrick's Day as we shoot this show anyway. Chris, you got your green on?
Got it, yep. Thank you, GV Art, for the shirt. Once again, killing it with their holiday special here for St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, we had our parade this morning. Did any of you guys see it on the way in? I was here early with Hanford, so I didn't see anything.
Not.
I did not
been down
either.
to one
Okay.
of these. Have you guys
They're-
been
The
down to
Cleveland
St.
St.
popping.
Patrick's Day parade
deal.
was a staple of my childhood.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially like going to a Catholic school. Like as you know, my middle school years, like we would get off school to like participate in the parade. So growing up, like my mom and my aunt would bring me down here, and then as I got to middle school, like participate in the parade with all my friends and stuff. So yeah, it's like a staple of my downtown Cleveland upbringing. Like I would always look forward to the St. Patrick's Day parade every year.
Were you like playing an instrument, or you were just marching with your friends?
I have no musical skill set. Gab, you have more musical like aptitude in your whole being than I have in like the tip of my baby finger. Like so like we were part of like some sort of like junior society through the church in middle school, because
Oh,
it
that's
was like
cool.
the middle school was attached to the church. Well, really it was kindergarten through 8th grade. So like the middle schoolers got to like be part of the parade and literally just like carry a banner for our church and for our school. So it was cool. Like definitely a memory that I have.
It's always a good time downtown. And in college, I went to John Carroll, so I was coming downtown, and I mean, you saw some stuff, that's for sure. It's funny how it's like so family oriented, but it's also kind of ratchet, like depending on where you are, like the Tower City area and things like that. But lots of loving memories. Cleveland, you never change.
It's a mixed
Don't
bag.
ever change.
Yeah, some of my most formidable memories: St. Patrick's Day parade and Cleveland Browns like tailgates with my dad growing up. Like that's what made me who I am today.
Yeah,
You
and-
learn a lot
Yeah.
on those type of events. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the way a lot of Clevelanders are, right? You learn how to cuss at Browns games and take in how to imbibe at St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, it's a good rounded experience growing up in the Northeast Ohio area.
Yeah, I mentioned like going to like a Catholic grade school.
Yeah.
Our priest actually had season Browns tickets, like
That's awesome.
somewhat near where my dad and I would sit at the game. So
That's
hilarious.
awesome. Wow, you know that he was saying prayers for everybody, and not just the team, but also the families who came and the things that he heard.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll see you in
Speaking-
confession this weekend.
Speaking of the good old days, we got Carlos Baerga in today. We got the Guardians starting up here shortly. So it's always nice to revisit with these old players like we did at the Cleveland Sports Awards.
Yeah.
Got Carlos Baerga coming in once again, an excuse to talk about 90s Indians baseball as we get excited about this season, looking back at the last time we were really killing it back there in the 90s.
Yeah, and we'll also be chatting about another fun team in town, at least right now, the Cavaliers. And obviously, we just snapped our 16-game win streak. But hey, so many other bright spots, and we're going to talk about it with our Cleveland headlines. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the show, gang. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It is time for our Cleveland headlines, brought to you by Fairway Ford.
Cleveland headlines brought to you by Fairway Ford. The best deals for sports fans. Fairway Ford will beat any price and deliver anywhere. Fairway Ford is the biggest Ford truck dealership in Ohio with the largest selection of Ford F-150s and Super Duty trucks. Don't let a short drive to Canfield prevent you from saving literally thousands on your new truck. Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, the lowest pricing, and the same hometown level of service. Visit fairwayfordohio.com.
Okay, gang, I say we start with Cavs, all right, just because I'm so excited. And even though, they fell a little short against the Magic on Sunday, lost by 5 points, couldn't pull out at the end. It was just a little bit odd. They felt a little rushed, and Magic went on a run in the third quarter there, and we just couldn't quite rebound. But I don't think it's time to panic. Okay, we're 56-11. We're still crushing it. 7.5 game lead over the 2-seed Boston. Evan Mobley wasn't even playing against the Magic.
And that's a big piece of it, right?
Right.
I mean, Evan Mobley wasn't there, and you see it's a different team when you don't have the future defensive player of the year in there for us, and really a unicorn overall when it comes to Evan Mobley. So not having him there, you can kind of write off a game like this. Got a lot of late games this week as we're going to be out on the West Coast, a lot of games that's going to be tough to stay up for. It'll be interesting to see over these last 15 games what this team does. The most important thing for me, Nick, is going to be to stay healthy.
Yeah,
right?
That's the biggest piece. And for this bench to be as dominant as they've been, obviously things got a little bit mixed up. DeAndre Hunter had to start against the Magic because Mobley was out, but the bench needs to stay dominant. They need to stay healthy, of course, but we need this version of Ty Jerome. We need this version of DeAndre Hunter come playoff time, and the Cavs will be able to hang with anybody. Like, I'm not worried about what happened in the little slip-up against Orlando. It'll be a tough West Coast road trip because it's late in the year. These guys got playoffs on the mind. They've got such a huge gap as the number one team in the East right now. The East is going to run through Cleveland. We just need everybody to stay healthy, and we need the bench to stay hot as we get ready for the playoffs.
I'll add one thing. I think also you got to have Garland, you got to have Mitchell improve shooting wise. Both of those guys have slipped up a little bit. We've been winning.
Yeah.
So you don't really hear about it, you don't really talk about it a whole lot. But when we start losing, the magnifying glass is going to go on those guys as well. And you got to see a little bit more consistency out of them. We've done a good job, and Kenny Atkinson has all season, of being able to sub in guys, have them kind of, cover up our faults at times when we needed it. But I think when we get to the playoffs and you start tightening up that bench a little bit, you really got to have your starters and your stars, your all-stars, B-stars come playoff time.
Yeah, because we had opportunities there at the end of last night's game. You know, it wasn't like it wasn't there. It was Donnie was jacking up the three, and then Dre just couldn't get it. He hit the backboard. But, to be fair, what Nick was saying about the bench needing to stay hot, I mean, they are hot, and I think they get a little underrated at times. DeAndre Hunter, highest scoring average off the bench in the NBA this season, 17.7 points per game. As far as Ty Jerome, only 3 players in NBA history. This is the thing I had to put out on X yesterday because it is kind of a fun fact. Mark Price, Steve Nash, and Steph Curry, the only 3 players in NBA history to shoot 50% from the field, 44% from three-point range, and 90% free throws in a season. Ty Jerome right up there with them. So, I mean, we kind of sleep. The stats don't lie, though. It's fun to kind of do your digging and see, what an impact these guys truly are making. And we just need them, as Nick pointed out, to stay strong, especially on those nights when, say, our stars like DG and Donovan are a little cold when we need them most.
Yeah, Ty Jerome got in trouble a little bit yesterday. John a little bit earlier. Didn't really back it up after that. So want to see that play on the court. Maybe if you're going to jaw, make sure you back it up later on. And that's really what we want to see how these guys. And he has been for the majority of the season. I mean, this is really an outlier for the team. Certainly losing is an outlier overall anyway. But you want to see these guys get kind of back on track. But I'm not concerned about this team, about where they're at right now. Stephen A. Smith went on ESPN. He predicted a Lakers-Cavs finals right now with the Cavs beating up on the Lakers, which, man, that would be amazing to see in Cleveland. But you see, we're starting to get a little bit of national respect, which both makes me a little bit nervous as well as makes me feel good about the team at the same time. And I think they're going to be just fine. We just got to stay healthy.
Stephen A.'s been singing the praises.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Yeah, like you said, Chris, I'm not worried. And sometimes a win or a loss like this right now, we were on such a hot stretch. This is just a little bit of a gut check, it's good to get knocked a little bit because then it causes you to pause and take a look really as we look forward to playoffs, where are some areas that we need to tighten up. So it's important. There's value in it right now.
Expose our flaws now.
Yes.
Not later on in the playoffs.
Right.
I'd much rather get those out of the way now.
We don't want the lights to be too bright. Okay, moving on to our Browns. The Browns traded for Kenny Pickett this past week. Do you like the move? I've seen the memes y'all were putting out here. But do you think he has a chance of starting this year?
Well, scary as it may be, yeah, I think he's got a chance at starting right now for the team. We really don't have another viable option right now at starting quarterback. I do like there's a little bit of an upgrade, I think, from him to DTR. Love DTR. He's always been friend of show here. Was fun to talk to. I think, unfortunately, he was put in some tough situations. A lot of times just hours before kickoff, finding out that he was going to go out there. I think he's a project. I hope and I root for the guy. But I think Kenny Pickett right now, as we sit, I think Kenny Pickett is an upgrade over what our quarterback situation was. But this isn't the answer, and I hope it's not the answer going into the season here, Nick.
Yeah, I don't think it will be. I think he has the opportunity to compete, which is probably all he could want and ask for right now. There is reason to be a smidge excited about Kenny Pickett. I mean, this was a former first-round pick. He's still only 26 years old. He's only making $2 million, which is the reason why they did this. Yeah. When you still owe Deshaun Watson $46 million and he's sitting at home not able to play, you're going to need guys on the cheap, and Kenny Pickett was available on the cheap. So that's really what this move was. I don't expect him to have to start many games, but if he does, we've seen in the past that he's at least serviceable. I find it interesting that he ran Stefanski's offense during his time at Pitt. So that's something that they're going to get back to, is finding guys that could do the play action style Kubiak offense. We heard that that's what they're going to get back to. They want to run the ball. They want to do what Stefanski wants to do. And I think the Kenny Pickett signing backs it up.
Yeah. And like you said, he's young and he hasn't really gotten a chance to show all of his stuff. So, I mean, this, and forget him on the cheap, this could be something good, at least to keep things competitive or have somebody in our back pocket.
Steelers gave up on him in 2 seasons, which is unlike them, you know, so we'll see.
I think that
well,
says
maybe they
more
made
about
other
Kenny
promises
Pickett than it does about the Steelers, though, and that's my fear here.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking, like, what if they made other promises to other players and things like that? You think?
No, I think they probably saw that he wasn't the answer pretty early on. But once again, this is going to be a project. We know that. Hopefully we can see some growth out of him. I don't think hands can grow at this point in his age, but we'll see growth nonetheless, hopefully on the field with Kenny Pickett, so that when that inevitable call comes for him to be our starting quarterback at some point this season, that he's ready for the bell.
My guess is he's going to have an incredible preseason. My guess is that we'll be talking Kenny Pickett preseason talk this August on Big Play Cleveland. Stay tuned for it.
So maybe he'll have his little hands full. Okay, I hate that we had to go there. All right, Cleveland has signed a few. How do you guys think about this free agency period and some of the signings that we've made already? Cornelius Lucas, some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you could sign an offensive lineman named Cornelius, I think I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, offensive tackle. We got a linebacker we bring in, a defensive tackle. I like these moves, kind of building up in the trenches right now with free agency. That's what the team needs. They need some depth. They need some rotational players. They were able to do that. So I think that's good, and that's a good start for this free agency. Certainly no big splashes right now, Nick. Not something that's really going to grab any highlights or big headlines right now, but certainly some guys that are going to be contributors on this team in the upcoming season.
And we knew that that's what this free agency was going to be. They weren't going to be able to go out there and overpay some of the top names in this free agency class, which, by the way, is fine because this is thought of as somewhat of a weaker free agent class, and I think we're seeing that right now as the rest of the league waits on the quarterback market to materialize on where some of these guys go. So, yeah, this is what we expected out of Browns free agency. It's nice to see that they were able to add Malik Collins, good defensive tackle that's probably going to project to be a starter. Joy Sharinka, who was awesome with Tampa Bay at times. He was a former first-round pick. We know Andrew Berry loves those former first-round picks. He never really carved out much of a role in Tampa Bay, but he was always good when he was on the field. So a bunch of really small, smart, calculated moves out of the Browns this free agency, and that's really all they could do.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. It is time for our Garage Beer featured interview, and we're bringing in a very special guest, a ballpark buddy of mine and Cleveland Indians legend, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, and the host of the all-new Carlos Baerga Show. So stay tuned. We'll talk a little bit more about it. But Carlos, welcome in studio on this little St. Patrick's Day. He's got his green on.
God bless you, everybody. What an honor to be here today and to be with the family of the Big Play. It will be nice. I love it, and I can't wait to start.
We're really excited for you, and you'll be co-hosting with, we've got Gab Gowdy coming on, and Always Positive Jay. I'm sure you've seen them on X. You know, Gab's a pal of ours, and you guys are going to be great. I think this is going to be a fun baseball season because you're already so close to the action. For those who don't know, you can catch Carlos and Raf doing the Spanish announcing, broadcasting for these games. So really, congratulations to you, and thanks for giving us your talents, obviously, as a legend in the 90s. We'll get to that. But now you're giving them as a broadcaster.
I love it, man. I love what I do. I love to be at the ballpark. I love to be around the players and the fans. I was talking to you guys before we started the show. Last year, in the second half when the ballpark started getting packed every day, it reminded me 1995. There was a special. We have 455 sold-outs in a row, stuff like that. It was very special. But we're going to have a couple of those guys in here with us, so we're gonna have fun. Our show is gonna be very, very, very crazy because it's gonna be, bringing the guys. The guys gonna be going through, through the TV too. So I can't wait to start. I can't wait to start.
Talk a little bit about those '90s teams. Talk about going from old Municipal Stadium. Then to Jacobs Field when it opens up. The Browns are gone, so all of the energy of this entire city was on the Indians at that time. What was it like as a player?
It was good for me because I never make it to the Billy before. So it was in the Municipal Stadium. That ballpark is the best ballpark that I ever hit. The best number that I put up was in there. All my records was in that ballpark. The 2 homers in the same inning, the 200 hits, 100 RBI, 100 runs, 300, over 20 homers. I did it twice. It was in that ballpark. So I'm never going to forget about that one. But, I always say, the only thing that I never see in other ballparks when I go to visit, to play against Chicago or Milwaukee or New York, I never see that we have 2 floors. The pitcher sit down upstairs and the players downstairs. I say, wow, I never see this before. The weight room was very small. And I remember when they take myself, Charles Nagy, Sandy Alomar, and myself to the, to see the ground. Where they were going to build the Jacob Field, we say, oh, my God, this is going to be very special. And then the first day there, wow, it was like Disney. It was like, wow, this is a big gift for us, and it was very special.
You started, Carlos, with the Indians in 1990, so you were really with them through that whole move to Jacobs Field. At what point did you know that those 90s Indians teams really had something special?
I think it was in 1993. 1993, we start bringing players. Omar Vizquel came into our team. They bring Kenny Lofton, you remember, from the Houston Astros. And I remember they bring Rod Carew to work with him in hitting and bunting, and when Kenny became a Hall of Famer, and they start bringing up Manny Ramirez, Albert Bell, Gene Tomey. So we have a great foundation in the team. But then they start bringing in '94. They bring Eddie Murray, they bring Candy Maldonado, they bring a lot of other all players, to be with us, and it was very special. Dennis Martinez, the pitcher, Otto Hershiser. So it became a better team. And I remember that year, 1994, when the strike came in, that we stopped the season, we was first.
Yes.
So they should have put us in the World Series against Montreal.
Yeah.
It wasn't our fault. It wasn't, but it was
the
not.
labor dispute. It had nothing to do with us. I remember watching as a fan. It's like we finally get the team who's good in Cleveland, and they end the season.
I know it was hard. It was hard for us, and I know for the fans. But I believe that from that moment on, it was very special, and it's been very special. We have great teams here, and right now we have a good team. Last year, I know we lost against the Yankees, but we are so close to be where we want to be, and I can't wait to this year start, because I think it's going to be a second year for all these young players that we have to step up and go to the next level. That the way I did it. My first year was good, but the second year was better. The third year was better, so I hope that it happened to us too.
We're excited about this year, but just quickly, since we're going down memory lane here, my sister, big Manny Ramirez fan. We had a big poster in our room, and you look back, you mentioned it, you guys were stacked, right? Is it kind of crazy to think back, Manny hitting in the 7 hole in 95?
It was, and Manny hitting 7, Gene Tomey hitting 8, our Hall of Famer, Gene Tomey. I say to everybody, when we talk about, about the 1995 teams, in 10 years, listen to this, people. In 10 years, we're going to have at least 8 players in the Hall of Fame. Omar Vizquel is going to be a Hall of Fame. Kenny Lofton going to be a Hall of Fame. We already have Dave Winfield, Eddie Murray, and Gene Tomey. We got 3 over there already. So Albert Bell is going to be a Hall of Famer too. Dennis Martinez is going to be a Hall of Famer, and Otto Hershiser is going to be a Hall of Famer. So there's no team in baseball in 1 year had that many Hall of Famers. In 1 year, in a lineup, stuff like that. And I forgot Manny Ramirez too.
Yeah.
So when you put it together, it's at least 8 or 9 players. They're gonna go to the Hall of Fame. That's special. Fans, you have a special team in 1995, and I know we lost, but that was a special team.
It really was.
A few weeks ago, we had the Cleveland Sports Awards, and I had the chance to talk to Mike Hargrove and asked him about managing all the different personalities that were on that team. What was it like being a player and being one of those personalities, having Mike Hargrove as your manager, and just kind of interacting? Take us into the day-by-day of what it's like when you've got so many big personalities in one clubhouse.
You know what? Mike did a great job with us. I think that, he know what he have. So he let us play. I think, with that kind of hitting team that we have, he just know how to move the bullpen. Our pitching coach was Mark Wiley at that time. But I think Mike did a great job with us. Let us play. We know we have so many veteran players that let us know what it takes to be, to go to a playoff or something like that, and keep us together. Keep us focused. We know that we have from spring training. We know what we want. We know what we have to do. And a lot of people thought that we was cocky. We wasn't cocky. We believe in ourselves.
You guys eurned it.
I
you
know.
You guys earned being cocky.
I know.
You earned having a little bit of swagger.
We step in the field, and we know we was gonna kill you. That it was like that. But I'm sorry that I said that word. So, but it was like that. So that's you have to have that as a player. As a team, believe in yourself. No matter, the big thing about us, we was down in the 9th, in the 8th, and we come back.
Yeah.
We got so many come back. When you had Tommy, Albert Bell, Eddie Muir, stuff like that, in the 9th, when they coming up, they hit a homer to win a game. That was special.
Wow.
That is really special. All right, I want to flip gears a little bit and talk about current guards.
Yes.
As a great infielder yourself, it was probably a little shocking to see Andres Jimenez get traded this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos, who do you think takes over the second base spot
Well,
right
it's
now?
going to be, right now, it's a big fry over there. We got Juan Brito. Yeah, I like this guy. Yesterday, he hit a homer. I like him, very athletic player, and he can run. He can play shortstop, too. So I think that what the Guardians are doing, every player that go through our minor leagues, they had to play all 3 positions and even outfield. So now in the big leagues, we want people, to play multiple positions. So it's going to be better for them, and it's going to be better for the team. If anybody got hurt, they already know how to play any position. They know that what you have to do in the ball and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be between him. It's going to be George Arias. They've been with the team before. He's been the utility guy, and Angel Martinez. Those 3 guys, they're going to be the one that's going to be deciding. I think Rocky deserved to be the shortstop in there. He did a great job last year. Sure. And Jose Ramirez, he's the man. He's the man in there. I think we make it an upgrade this year, bringing back again Carlos Santana to be in first base. And I'm very happy because I know that's Jose Ramirez's father. He's the one that teaches Jose Ramirez what it takes to be a big league player. So I think we did a great job on that, and I think we're going to the next level of that. Right now, in the outfield, it's going to be the one that we decide. We got Quan, we got Lane Thomas that did a great job. That was a good sign last year. And to keep him, we had 3 veteran players in our team. We around young players too. So I think that's very good. You cannot go in there just with young players because when the tough time comes, you need somebody to help you out and step up and say, hey, this is what we need to do. Let's get together and do this. So I think it's gonna be I like our team. I think Brennan and John Kensin Noel, they're gonna be the right fielders, and I think John Kensin Noel this year is gonna hit at least 25 homers, and I hope that helps us out. I want to be yelling in Spanish. Very big Christmas. Big Christmas. Yes.
We're hoping that it's Christmas at the ballpark many times this summer. Is there a player that you're looking to have, or you kind of have a premonition about having a big season? You talked about Rocchio, and that's a guy I saw a lot of positive things, especially towards the end of last year out of him. And the biggest one was kind of the confidence. He's got a little bit of, you talked about being cocky. I wouldn't even say that. It's just, you could see that confidence in him. And I think he has a lot to offer. I'd love to see him have a breakout season.
Let me tell you guys something. I go to, I'm ambassador for the Cleveland Guardians. I'm a Hall of Famer. I do the radio, but I like to work with the minor league guys. So when I went to Dominican, the Rocky was 16 years old. From that day on, him and John Kenzie Noel, I said, those two guys, they're going to be the first one to come up to the big leagues because they had talent. I see something different on them, and look at what happened. But I think the guy that need to step up this year, I don't know if you guys are with me, Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams, because Bieber, he's not going to start this year with us. He's going to be maybe in June, something like that. So Gavin Williams has to be with Tyler Bybee, the two guys that, to step up to go to the next level. Lively is going to be there. I love what he did with us last year. And another guy that we need healthy and to be the man, Tristan McKenzie.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We need McKenzie. We need McKenzie to be McKenzie for us to be there. We win with pitching. That's what we need. This is our organization. Is a pitching organization. We bring a lot of young players to the big league, stuff like that. We got the best bullpen in the game.
Yeah.
We got the best bullpen in the game. We bring a veteran pitcher, Sewell, from Arizona. So now he's helping our closing stuff too. So I think it's going to be really good. I like it. I'm excited. I can't wait till the season start. On the 27th, but in the 8th, we play here in Cleveland.
Yes, we're so looking forward. And it's funny, I mean, we've been talking about Gavin Williams even on the last show. It seems like he's had such a promising spring. Mm-hmm. And of course, we keep speaking it into existence. We want Tristan. We want to see the Tristan McKenzie we know and love.
What's going on with him right now? We saw the velocity. The velocity seems to be there, but it's just not all connecting so far in spring training. What do you think is going on right now with Tristan McKenzie?
I think it's confidence, belief in you. You can have guys throwing 98, 99, 100, but if you don't have the confidence to be there, to know who you are, they don't give it to you to be in the big leagues. You deserve it because you win something in the minor leagues. So you have to have that. That's what Jose Ramirez have.
Yeah.
He have talent. He have
so
talent.
Did you. For
I know.
You play.
You guys
Me
had
too.
it. You had to have it.
I believe in myself.
Yeah.
I go for 4. That's okay. I said to everybody, for me, the two big players that I play against, every time they walk through the field, you know they were going to do something? Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr. They had too much confidence. Too much. You got me yesterday. Today, be ready. I'm going to hit a homer. I'm going to go 3 for 3. They just tell you like that. Yeah. When we were doing exercise in the floor, they just go through and say, be ready today. I'm going to kill you guys. That's the confidence you have to have as a player.
That's the mindset of a big leaguer.
Yeah.
That's what you got to have. Right?
Yeah.
For these guys to be successful. And Jose certainly has that in spades. And has that been a progression, or has he been that way ever since you've known him, back in the
Since I know him. Yeah. Since I know him, I remember that when he signed, $50,000. $50,000. He played like he signed like $3 million, something like that. $50,000. It's not the money. It's the desire, determination, and the passion that you have to be the best. He's a little guy. He's like Altuve, little guy, but they have a big heart. And every time they step in the field, they don't like to look bad. They love to put numbers. They love to win as a team. And that's what Jose Ramirez have.
This is Confidence with Carlos.
Yes.
That needs to be the name of one of your segments. I mean, I'm ready to play out there myself. Yeah. We're going to take our first break. Thanks so much to Carlos Baerga being in studio. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this.
Welcome on back into the Big Play Cleveland show. It's time for Bringing the Heat, presented by our friends over at Northeast Factory Direct. Hey, if you've been on the road like our guy Jensen, then you know how nice it is to finally get home and get in your own bed. Well, Northeast Factory Direct is here to help that moment prolong, make that experience even better with their huge selection of mattresses at unbelievable prices. They have pocketed coil mattresses, memory foam, latex, even organic mattresses. Anything you need to improve that sleep experience, Northeast Factory Direct has you covered. You could shop for your new mattress online anytime by going to northeastfactorydirect.com. But when you shop in store, Cleveland, Euclid, Macedonia, North Canton, ask for that Big Play bonus and you're going to get an extra special hookup. Visit Northeast Factory Direct today. Ask for that Big Play bonus. You're going to thank us later. We bring in Jensen Lewis as we are just about a week away from the season opener in Kansas City. Jensen, we got to start on a weird note today. In your mind, what is the biggest question mark for this team as they have 1 week until this thing gets started?
I honestly, I'll go back to Stephen Vogt looking to move J-Ram up one spot in the order. So it'd be Stephen Kwan in the leadoff spot, J-Ram in that 2 spot. And then, what does it look like on a day-to-day basis? Is it indeed the first handful of weeks where we have a little different lineup construction depending on if it's a right-handed pitcher or a left-handed pitcher? And then also, what do those final couple of bench spots look like if indeed we know Stephen Vogt last year loving to use almost everyone on his lineup card each and every day. So I think that's the big thing offensively. And then on the pitching side, those last couple of spots in the bullpen, I think we feel pretty good about Doug Nikhazy finding his way onto this roster with the injury to Eric Sabrowski, where you feel that the end of the rotation is going to be. I know Luis Ortiz has struggled. Tristan McKenzie has struggled. How do they fill that out? So guys, the first time in a long time, we've had multiple questions to answer within the final week before we break camp.
Looking elsewhere in terms of subtractions that were a bit of a surprise to some, maybe not as much of a surprise to us. How much are the guards going to miss Josh Naylor and Andres Jimenez and what they were able to provide to the club last season?
They're massive holes, Nick, and I'll start with Josh Naylor just because I think he's going to absolutely mash in Arizona. I think he's going to be so great in that Diamondback order, hitting behind Corbin Carroll and Ketel Marte. Again, it's kind of the top line thought of how does Stephen Vogt fill out the lineup, and lineup protection can come in multiple ways, guys. It can come in front of the guy or behind the guy, and so that's why very intrigued to see how it works out if indeed Jose Ramirez slides up from the 3 spot to the 2 spot. Now all of a sudden you're asking a boatload more of Elaine Thomas, a John Kenzie Noel, and however else that bottom of the order ends up finding its way. This is a much leaner lineup than what we saw at the end of last year. And even with the struggles of a couple of guys in the postseason, it's hard to replace someone in Josh Naylor almost back-to-back years of 100 or more runs batted in. And then Andres Jimenez up the middle. I don't think people realize, Nick, how critical that cadence is between the shortstop and the second baseman. Watching Rocchio and Andres Jimenez be so good at turning the double play and knowing spacing, I think we're going to miss Andreas way more than people realize.
Let's stay right there at second base. We have Carlos Baerga on the show today, famous second baseman, obviously, for the Cleveland Indians. Where do you see this battle at right now at second base for the Guardians, and where do you see that shaking out as we get closer to opening day?
Yeah, honestly, Chris, I think it still could be a work in progress. I don't know if they want to just settle on one candidate and let it kind of ride its way out. But if they do, then that might be, the solution here is to not have someone having to look over their back. And remember, I'll just take, I know it's not second, but we looked at Brian Rocchio just a year or so ago, and, it felt like he was looking over his shoulder about, oh man, if I'm not performing offensively, are they going to take me out of the lineup? And so hopefully there's continuity there, Chris, but I don't even know if they have a feeling yet of kind of the way they want to go.
How about from the pitching standpoint? We also talked to Carlos about, Gavin Williams needing to step up this year, and we want to see Tristan McKenzie, I know we've talked about it, be his old self. How do you anticipate this pitching staff shaking out come, big league baseball time when everything starts for real?
Yeah, Gab, I'm really encouraged with Gavin Williams, and I know we talked about it last week. I think he's been the head turner of camp as far as a starting rotation goes. You get that kind of swing and miss over not only just the first handful of outings, but also being able to sustain it and build up as his stuff gets close to opening day ready. You look at Bybee, you look at Gavin Williams, and I love the way that Logan Allen has thrown the ball. I mean, that is a real step forward for someone who struggled so mightily last year. And I think the jury is still out on Tristan McKenzie. It's got to be a prove it scenario for me if I'm making the call there. I just do not trust him start in and start out at this point with the inability to command the baseball. You can't put yourself behind the 8 ball with the amount of traffic issuing free passes. So Luis Ortiz has gotten hit around a bit, but I know anytime you make a move the way they did this offseason, usually that's predicated on he's going to have a rotation spot. But again, it's kind of the headline theme, guys, multiple spots and multiple areas of the team that might come down to the final day or two before they really make those hard decisions on who leaves camp.
Jensen, we saw Corey Kluber last week kind of get involved with the organization, be around the organization, talked a little bit about being more involved with the organization. What kind of a role could you see Corey Kluber in with this organization going forward?
Yeah, it's kind of a continuation, Chris, of what we've seen in years past. I can remember, Travis Hafner coming back and Grady Sizemore before Grady got onto, the Chicago White Sox coaching staff, and pretty much a rite of passage for some of the greats throughout organizations, not only here in Cleveland, but around big league baseball. And as someone that was so revered, guys, if you remember, he was sort of that trendsetter within the big league team of he would throw his bullpen and have all the other starting pitchers be out there. So everyone could kind of watch and everyone would maybe have that constructive criticism or be able to see how Corey was able to work through it and then take a little bit out of that and institute it into their game. It doesn't feel too long ago, but you look up at the years, you're like, man, it's been a while since we've had, the Kluber, Carrasco, Bauer, Clevenger. I mean, we're not too far removed from Shane Bieber being that number 5 starter and then all of a sudden vaulting to be the ace. But kind of anxious to see where Steven, Chris Antonetti, Mike Chernoff, they find a way for Corey to be involved. I mean, any guy like that has the pedigree that he's had throughout his career, what a great asset to have around the organization.
Hey, Jensen, before we get you out of here, March Madness, we know this is an exciting time for you, McNeil, all of us. How about your Final Four prediction, or maybe even a dark horse? Up to you.
Yeah, I think Florida is the team I'm looking at right now. They feel like the most complete team, Gab, and honestly, Houston, I think, is right up there as well. If I'm looking at a dark horse, I look at Texas Tech. I look at the Red Raiders. Arizona could be in there as well. I don't think you get too many Cinderellas through the Sweet 16 and into the Elite Eight, so I think the chalk could hold here. I would just love nothing more than my Vanderbilt Commodores coming into Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse to be that Cinderella team, if you will, as a 10 seed. Anchor down, baby. Can't wait to watch Coach and see the boys. I'm sure Darius Garland will have a rooting interest as well.
Right.
But it can't wait. Best time of the year, guys.
Seriously, we know we're going to have a fun couple days lined up. Jensen, as we get closer to opening day, we're excited to bring you on, bringing the heat every single week on the Big Play Cleveland Show. Appreciate it, bro.
You got it, guys. Talk to you next week.
Thanks,
All right.
Jensen.
Bringing the heat with Jensen Lewis. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Cleveland Show. Let's lead with some good news here, guys. In the land, Shane Bieber and Kara welcoming their first baby, Cav. We saw all the cute pictures on social media. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, born on the same time as the blood moon here last week. So pretty cool. Congrats to them.
Yeah, very sweet. And of course, we were talking about the Cavs doing so well. Another little good news bit here. Here's a minute recap of a bunch of inner city students getting glasses thanks to the Vision to Learn program and Colleague Giving, partnering with the Cavs and Vision to Learn. This was cute. It's not difficult to see the impact of kindness when there's so much joy. These joyous smiles and glasses brought to over 300 students from the Cleveland Metropolitan School District thanks to Colleague Giving and the Cavaliers Community Foundation partnering to support the Vision to Learn program, which provides free vision care to students.
They're sitting in class and you can't see the board. Most of us wear glasses or contacts. It's amazing what the difference is when you're wearing those.
There was recently a study done by Johns Hopkins University that quantifies if you give a kid a pair of glasses, it's equivalent to giving them 6 months of extra school. Their test scores and their grades improve.
I'm excited because the kids get to come to a Cavs game.
Students from Whitney Young Elementary were surprised with a night out to the Cavs game Tuesday.
It's just an amazing moment, amazing journey.
A halftime moment of recognition for the kids was a beautiful sight. Yeah, just something positive for you. Nick, I know you liked this one since you had your own personal story growing up.
Yeah, definitely. I had esotropia as a kid, so I had like a pretty big eye procedure in both of my eyes as like a really toddler, and I wore glasses my whole life, and I know the sacrifice that my parents had to make for all of those procedures and follow-up visits and surgeries and then glasses and eye patches, and like a vision care is so expensive. So for the Colleague crew to do that for those kids, like it definitely brought a tear to my eye when I saw those little kids get their glasses.
Yeah,
like, so cool.
They were so adorable. Let's talk more basketball here, college basketball, and we can make a few predictions here with our fill in the blank. Ohio teams will win blank games in this year's tournament, you think? Akron and Xavier are the only Ohio teams to make the field of 68.
Yeah, kind of a rough end there to really a rough season for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Bowing out in the Big Ten tournament,
What a
not
joke
making it.
that was.
And turning down the NIT or whatever we're calling it these days today. So Ohio State's season is officially done for basketball. For the Ohio teams that are left, I'm going to go ahead and give Xavier a win over Texas. I think Texas is kind of sick of seeing Ohio teams after the scoop and score against Ohio State and Jack Sawyer. So maybe some of that karma bleeds over into Xavier down there in southeast of Ohio, and Xavier gets it done against Texas.
And I'm bitter, Chris. I'm a bitter Kent State basketball fan over here. I was pulling for your Miami Redhawks in that MAC championship game.
Straight up choke.
I mean, it was a fluke floater at the end. Had that game went to overtime, Miami would have won it. Fluke floater. Akron goes to the dance. Good for them, I guess. Enjoy your first round NCAA tournament exit, Akron Zips. Give me Arizona minus 15.5. I'm a hater.
But you're a lover of McNeese.
I am. I love McNeese.
I set you up for this because this was fun.
I love this video that's gone viral. Their student basketball manager, Amir Khan, who they call Aura. You guys have to Google this video of this kid, walks the team out every single game with the big speaker, and he just brings the vibes. I think McNeese is actually a good team as well. So, they have the makings on the court of a team that could be a bit of a Cinderella, and then off the court with this student manager who's signing these big NIL deals and stuff.
Yeah, he was the first. He's the first student manager to ink an NIL deal, which is
he deserves
the
it.
story
He
you love.
deserves it, and then some. Yeah, I love this
These
kid.
are the
I love
stories you
McNeese.
like during March Madness. How about my Final Four prediction is?
Right now, I've got Michigan State, Memphis, Alabama, and I got Houston. I got Houston winning it all. That was kind of my first in. I only do one bracket every single year, and this is the one that I put together. And I got Houston came out on top. We'll see.
I haven't done my bracket yet, so I don't have a Final Four yet. I agree with Jensen. I like Florida.
Okay. All right. A lot of teams in the SEC this year. What, 12 teams?
12, 13 teams, yeah.
That's insane. Insane from the SEC. What is it, a basketball conference now?
Maybe.
No longer a football conference? It sure seems that way.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more Big Play Cleveland right after this. Welcome back to Big Play Cleveland. We're continuing our fill in the blank segment here. Nick Chubb will play for the blank next season.
I think he'll play for the Browns next season.
I think so, too.
I think he's coming back. I think the longer this goes along, I think Nick Chubb's finding out what his market value is, and the market value isn't what he may have expected out there. And I think that brings it right back to the Browns. I think the Browns are going to end up getting him at a fair price, and I think it's going to be something that's going to be good for the city. There's a lot of goodwill with Nick Chubb, and it'll be great to have him back here. So we're going to be willing to pay a little bit more than the other teams who see basically an aging running back who's coming off another injury, who won't be willing to pay as much as the Browns will.
I mean, this running back market is a nothing burger. I mean, the top running backs, Rico Dowdle got only 1 year, $6 million from Carolina. Najee Harris left Pittsburgh to go to the Chargers, only got $5 million. This is setting up for Nick Chubb to return to Cleveland, to be that veteran. You got Myles Garrett back in town now. Get Nick Chubb in here. We know what sort of leader he is. Maybe not a vocal leader, but definitely a leader in every single definition of the word in terms of what he means to that locker room, how he goes about his business and leads by example. I think will be awesome because I think the Browns are going to draft a running back pretty high. I think you're looking at the second or third round for a running back this season to find that next Nick Chubb for the Cleveland Browns. You might as well have the next Nick Chubb learn from actual Nick Chubb. I think that'll be a good thing for the Browns.
There is a list here of players that still remain unsigned that were former Browns that maybe we'd like to see back. I know Zadarius Smith is kind of jumping off the page for me here, but aside from Chubb, blank is a former Brown that I'd like to see Cleveland bring back this offseason.
I mean, personally, I'd like to see Jameis Winston back here. I don't think that's going to happen, but he was a lot of fun, and if this team's not going to be good next year, at least we'll be entertaining if we have Jameis Winston, so I'm going to go with Jameis on this one.
That's a good one. And I'm going to just stick with Chubb. I think you've got to find a way to bring back Chubb. But other than that, like Jedrick Wills, you could do without some of these pending free agents. Darius Smith is another guy that's getting up there in age. I know they want to see what they've gotten at Isaiah McGuire. Maybe you draft another defensive end at some point. So let's bring on the youth movement. Let's draft, develop some of these guys, but bring back Nick Chubb.
All right, let's finish on the Cavs, guys. How many wins do you think we're going to have on this West Coast trip?
How many games are we playing on the West Coast trip? First
I know they're
of all,
gone 10.
I know we've got
5
15.
straight.
We have 15 games left in the season right now. You're saying 5 are on the West Coast?
5 on the West
Yeah.
Coast. Let's go with 4.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-2. I think it's going to be, they're going to hit some tough times, with travel schedules, and it's always rougher on the West Coast. And you're still talking about a team going over 500 for a West Coast swing. So 3-2, and I'd be okay with that.
Yep.
All right, final trip out west this season. Let's, that's the show. Ryan, thanks so much. Thanks for watching the Big Play Cleveland
One
show.
correction for me. It was 14 teams for the SEC. So truly a basketball conference, not just 12.
Wow, double threat now.
There you go.
Thanks for watching Big Play Cleveland. We'll see you next week.